Not differently. I feel different though. I feel the time spent with Dan, with Brant. I feel the time spent with this team. I think coming in last year, it's off of a lot of film study. Just playing against coaching against the Panthers, and then watching all those games and kind of having a vision for what could potentially help us challenge our roster and take the next steps forward. But this year, really seeing guys day in and day out, really getting to know the personalities and seeing what fits, certainly from a football standpoint, football character, but then also our locker room, and who these guys are and what they stand for. So that really kind of helps sharpen my focus a little bit as I come in here. Say that again. I just kind of take it week to week. It's just a daily process of improvement, and that goes for any position, particularly the quarterback position. It's something where we should all be pushing to just try to find our best, and so my focus really just stays in the now. It stays right here, and what are the next steps, and so I kind of just try to, encourage my players as well. Block out the narratives, block out the noise, and let's just go to work. Can we do that? Can we come back to work every day, every week? Look at the things. Here's what we did well. Here's what we need to improve, and then take the next steps.
Dave, along those lines,
yeah.
Last game of the season, Bryce and Penix go out and put up a ton of points. How much does that make you think about the future of the division and what you're going to be looking at?
That was exciting, but it was also pretty scary, just kind of seeing, Michael Penix step up and make those plays and just really going, drive for drive, battling that way. But it was an exciting feeling to come off of that field, for sure, because we won, but also because you could just feel the sense of like, all right, here's what we have to look forward to. Here's the challenges that we have to meet, and so it does add to the urgency for all of us, to first and foremost, it starts with our division, and there's some really good teams in our division.
Dave, last year you went out and got Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Is getting a number one wide receiver part of the calculus?
I think we're open to trying to make any moves at every position, trying to find impact players, whether that's through development, through the guys that we have, or free agency, the draft, trades, you never know. We're always going to be open to try to find somebody that can really help us.
Coach, can you talk about the progression of Bryce Young this season? Obviously some ups and downs there, but what did you like from him this season and how it progressed?
Just toughness, mental toughness, emotional toughness, physical toughness, took some good shots there, and showed he can just stand in there and play good football, and just watching the weekly progression of it, that's kind of just what we talked about a little bit there, was watching as we finished each week there was improvement. Each week there was improvement, and if you can imagine if you could just get it 1 week better for a long time, how good you could become. So I got a lot of excitement, a lot of appreciation for the way that Bryce just took a leadership role in this too, and really made statements to his teammates, in that locker room, and you can feel the respect. I'm sure all of you around the team, the guys started to feel that, like, this guy's real, and so I'm excited to go into this offseason knowing we have this quarterback. Now let's start building this team and let's become the 2025 Panthers.
Talked about building the D-line this offseason.
Yeah.
Much like the O-line was the closest last year.
Yeah.
We've heard people say this is a deep D-line class, which would seem to jive well with it. Your sense on the depth of the D-line and how it goes?
In this draft? Yeah, starters, I don't know. I think it's hard for rookies to come into this league and just jump off and be starters. The expectation and the opportunities are there for these guys, but I think there's just a lot of quality players that fit the traits, that have the physical attributes, and have the play style and all that. And so, I think that's a cool thing for us, as we continue to build our defense. Like, let's be honest, we know we have to address the run game. We know it starts up front. We did that on the offensive line last year, so we're very clear about that being, a high priority for us, but I think the challenge now is, because we do see a lot more players available, is really digging into the character, really digging into the fit. Do these guys look like Panthers as we go through this process and meet them and watch them, and talk to the people that are around their schools, and so it's a really important one for us.
Dave, when you think about the balance of putting together a roster, I mean, how many rookies can you stand and put on the field at one time? Is there a ceiling on that?
I don't know that answer. I just know that I am for playing rookies right away. I want them to. The only way to get that experience is to be out there, is to live it, is to feel the accountability from their teammates, and have them elevate their urgency, in an appropriate way, so that they can see how important this is. These opportunities are for everybody, not just for themselves, But so I don't know what that number is, but I do know that the sooner they play, the sooner they can find good football and find a style that fits them within our team.
Dave, you've made some coaching changes. I was just curious if you could take us through the process of, how much was it Evero recruiting guys? How much did you weigh in on that process? And why were those guys the right fit?
Yeah, it was collaborative. It was, a bunch of Zooms, talking to different coaches, looking for the right mix. You want to try to, in every staff, you want to try to have enough experience and you want to have enough juice. And sometimes you get both, but to have that kind of combination was really important for us. And so we went through that process all together and really put our heads together and made some decisions with Ronaldo Hill, who brings a lot of experience, a lot of, especially in our scheme. He's been in different versions of our defensive scheme, so he's got a lot to bring to the table, and developing young players, whether it be at the safety position, nickels, even corners. He's done a great job there. AC Carter, he's got some experience with the Jero going back to Denver, but just his reputation working with pass rushers, working with those guys up front who have to be confrontational and have to be detailed, and so we did our homework and talked to a lot of guys that he had worked with as well, and he's a juice guy, and he his whole thing is around relationship, which I really truly believe if you can develop that relationship and that joint vision, you can help guys achieve their best. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah. Yeah, just, I think when I think about this whole offseason, and really this whole past year, the conversations with Dan and Brant was, guys, let's be honest and let's be really courageous about our processes, evaluating them, scrutinizing them. Let's be critical. Let's see what's working, but let's also not just say, hey, this is just how things are always done. Let's challenge our processes and let's find ways that we can improve this team and really pursue our best, and that's really how we came to the decision to hire Denny Kellington, with his medical background and some of the success that the Bills have had over the last couple of years in terms of player availability. Josh Hinks is a guy that I've known for a while, and just to feel like when you're around Josh, to feel the energy, to feel the detail, he brings a lot of things to the table in terms of training, but also with the sports science background to be able to tie that in, but just filling the environment with people that are going to develop their staff, that are going to grow our players and get them out there. The bottom line is when we bring these great players in, let's make sure that they're available. I'm not really sure timeline-wise, but I know I've seen him around a little bit, and he's got a smile on his face. I think he feels a sense of like, man, I can get my body back. I'm so excited for X to take the next step this year. Rob Moore's really excited, to be able to continue to build off of the things. Again, guy played a lot this year, which is huge for rookies to be out there, and to just be able to take those lessons and build off it. We're really excited for X.
With your coaching staff, you have a run game coordinator, pass game coordinator, in addition to an offensive coordinator. You also have other coordinators on the defensive side. What is your philosophy in having guys with those titles and having that kind of specialization within your coaching staff?
Yeah, just bringing really talented coaches on your staff in whatever capacity that you can, and just trying to make sure that we create an environment where we can utilize all the information. So it doesn't help you if you have a bunch of good coaches, but you can't filter it all in and have it be actionable. And so I think just having some people with those experiences, and also the expectation, like when you're given those titles, that means something. That means that we're expecting you to bring in a level of expertise to those areas and to see that growth, So it's opportunity. It comes with responsibility, and so we like to kind of build that out that way.
At one point, how much have coaching staffs grown in size and specialization among assistants?
I've kind of seen a couple of different models, so I think that there are certain staffs that have a lot of coaches on their staff. I think we're kind of in the middle in terms of utilizing that, and I think the most important part is just find value, be an expert at something, and where someone may have a niche. When you have those assistant titles, find a way to help your boss. Can I help Brian Schottenheimer be a great offensive coordinator as his quarterback's coach, or Shane Waldron as the pass game coordinator. Just find ways to make these guys excellent and try to just fill in the voids of where they're stretched thin a little bit time-wise, and see if you can take something off their plate. And that comes with trust, for sure. But I love it. I love having, the different coaches with different specialties.
What's the biggest challenge you faced as a first-year head coach, play caller? Time management. How did you work all that out?
George Lee, yeah, he's our game management director, and he does a great job. And he's peppering me with different situations that come up throughout the week. He and I have been already just through this process looking at all the playoff games to see the situations that come up, end of half, end of game, using your challenges, those different types of things. And so I really felt covered by him to be able to kind of give me a heads up on things that might come up so that I can be focused on making the next call. And certainly when we're on the defensive side, then there's more of an open dialogue, with some of those things. But I really lean on George, and he does a great job for me.
And as a play caller, was it hard to coach the whole team because you're so specific on the offensive side of the ball?
There were challenges, yes, especially when you're in year one of an offensive system. There were certainly challenges, but that's where, I can rely on guys like Ajero. I can rely on Brad Idzik, to keep the thing moving, and so that I can make my way around the different parts of our team and make sure that at a minimum that I'm impacting the culture and environment that we're looking for, that we're excited to be here, and that we show up for these players with an excitement, because they'll go as we go, and create that platform where the guys can have, resources to take the next steps to find their best. Yeah. Yeah, I think knowledge of our roster. I got to be around the guys. Dan could kind of, fill in some of the gaps. But as I've been around the players, then we can kind of, continue that alignment in those conversations. Dreaming about what this team could be and doing that together. Tons of conversations between he and I and Brent, our text chain and phone calls that happen. I feel so much more clarity about where we need to go, what we need to address, and how we can utilize different players because of spending that time together. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be built around toughness. It's going to be built around playing great defense in the run game. And we know we have a lot of things to address from a defensive standpoint to take those strides. It's clear. People can see the challenges that we saw from a defensive standpoint. But I see our scheme work around the league. I've seen Ajero at the highest form, in Denver and, here in Carolina 2 years ago. So I know what this scheme can be. We know what we were missing. Let's make sure we have those pieces so that we can be an attacking style of defense, and make it really challenging on opposing offenses. Let's make sure we can continue to run the ball, and let's try to find a way to get some explosives going from an offensive standpoint. And from a special team standpoint, the draft is where that happens. When we can identify players who can add value in the coverage units or as a returner, and those ways, when we can find those guys, wherever that's at in the draft, that's when you become special. In terms of the special teams production, it's usually those young guys who are maybe the backup at their position, but this is a phenomenal athlete who's tough with high character. He's going to go down and do something. So that's when I've seen the best units come alive.
Hey, with Derek and Shaq missing so much of last season, and obviously Shaq got that out to some free agency, how much did JC evolve as a leader, and where did you notice maybe the leadership on the defense throughout the season? Maybe not just with him.
I would say specifically talking about JC, I saw a guy that was just so focused on helping the team, on being out there, on making sure that his body was right. I wasn't around JC before, but what I saw was just this professionalism, this way that he went about his week, his body readiness, his mental preparation, his film study, all those habits. I just saw him give us something so solid and stable for other guys to see. This is how you achieve excellence, and I love the fact that he was recognized for it with the Pro Bowl and all that. But I thought that was inevitable if he could just be out there, but he brought that to us, So I thought that was really important for JC to be somebody that people can look at.
Coach, in the scouting process, which kind of you in the front office, what are some challenges you see that arise, especially recently who have transferred maybe usually once, but maybe 2 or 3 times in their college career?
It's really, I don't see it as a challenge. I think the opportunity is you have 2 schools you can ask about the player. Do their stories corroborate, or was he one guy here and then somebody different? So I think you have more eyes on these players, which does help us evaluate the character, and kind of go into those things. I understand players that, have opportunities financially to go from one school to the next. That makes sense. They don't know how long their careers are. So all these things kind of help us, to be able to evaluate them. There is some challenges in terms of if they're going from one scheme to the next. Sometimes there's a little bit of a hurdle for them trying to learn a new system, but there's information that you can gather about that as well.
Last one, you know now what you needed on defense.
Stop the run. Whatever that looks like, you can affect the run different ways. You can affect the run with your interior play. You can affect the run with good, solid setting edges from the outside linebacker play. You can affect the run from a safety standpoint who shows up and plays the C area with aggression. There's different ways, but at a minimum is finding guys who just give great effort and just lay their whole body out to make this play happen and work together. So there's a lot of those things that we have to look at, but inside linebacker, all those different positions, you're looking for the types of players that are combative by nature, that love the physical part of the play, because that's where it starts.
Coach, you and Dan Morgan have Seattle ties. What did you guys learn in Seattle, and how did that help your career?
Man, I mean, that's a very generous question that I could talk about for a long time. I would say in general, though, it's about creating the environment and the culture where we're showing up every day to find our best. That was a pursuit of Pete's. That was a pursuit of John Schneider's. Excellence. Striving for excellence, challenging all your processes, challenging your roster, and going for it. And I think that making sure that you have people that live like that, players, staff, everybody, the entire culture, we are pushing the limits. We're trying to find best practices and competing to find that every day.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.